welcome back to the Queers and Qualms Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sijara Eubanks.
What's up, y'all? This is Yas.
And we're back for another episode
We're
of Queers
back.
and Qualms. And we've got exciting news. Congratulations are in order this week.
Something like that.
For those of us who are new to our podcast and following us, me and Yasmin are athletes.
Yeah. I
and
know.
We've got a pretty good athletic resume, I think.
A little something. I know we've talked some about it on this podcast, but we haven't like dove deep into like our athletic backgrounds. I know we told how we got into martial arts a couple of times, but yeah, you may have forgotten that we are martial artists and have done many other sports throughout our athletic careers. And so this is the episode where we get to talk about that.
Yeah.
And unpack some being an athlete, being a gay female athlete, and what that's like for us.
Absolutely. And before we go, Yasmin got another gold medal to add to her wall.
Yes, sir.
Just this past weekend. As of this recording, just this past weekend, Yasmin is now a gold medalist for
Gold
Waco.
medalist at Waco National Championships. We flew out this past weekend to Tennessee and came back with a medal and took some heads off on the way. So much fun. So that is a kickboxing tournament. So they have a bunch of different rule sets, but my rule set was hands, boxing, kicking, and knees. So one of the biggest differences between the martial arts that I do and Sijara does is she does MMA, which is got everything.
Mixed martial
Everything
arts.
under
Think
the
cage
sun.
fighting. I
Yeah.
do UFC. I do UFC.
Yeah, so that is a little different than what I've been doing, but she's been a great coach and mentor for me and coached me through this gold medal that our gold medal. Shout out to Level Up. That's where I train out of. And
Level Up.
yeah.
In Bowie, Maryland. And as soon as this podcast is over, you guys go over to Queers and Qualms Instagram and to Yasmin's Instagram. And watch this poor girl. This Yasmin beat the brakes off this poor girl. I'm sorry.
Why is it
she's
always
listening.
poor girl and not good job?
You know what? That's valid because that happened to me and I should know better.
Come on. It's always poor girl. Shawty should have had her hands up. She should have been ready because I came ready.
The only reason, only poor girl because she did not know. Her coach did not let her know what she had signed up for that weekend. I don't know what she thought. But shout out to all the women and men this
women
weekend.
Athletes
Who competed this weekend. Yeah.
Everyone at Waco National Championships. It's my first. I doubt it's going to be my last. So, yeah. Y'all stay tuned on our Instagram. You'll see all of our fights. Anything that Sarge has got coming up will be posted on Instagram. Anything that I've got coming up will be posted on Instagram.
Yeah. And it's been a pleasure. It's been real cool for me as your older sister to kind of guide, like not guide you, but sort of be like, hey, as your sister, some of the things I did right and wrong in training, and as an athlete to be able to pass on the knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the best
striking.
team. I've got the best team underneath, and that's how you get successful as an athlete. And yeah,
and no, seriously, guys,
it's hard to find.
The highlight reel is amazing.
The highlight reel, yeah, more highlight reels to come.
Yes,
in
last
the future.
plug, but definitely go check that out. But no, it's been amazing for you, yeah.
Yeah.
What's it like transitioning from gymnastics to martial arts? Like, what's the biggest difference you think?
Wow, there's so many differences. And just to give a little bit of background, I did gymnastics from the age of 2 until I was nearly 21. So a long time. I did a long time in gymnastics. And if you've never watched any gymnastics, it's very just like poised and supposed to be graceful and feminine, and like fighting is the complete opposite. It's gritty, it's aggressive, it's, you can let out like that aggression and it's not really looked down upon. Like in gymnastics, when you do a good routine, like even if you're against the other your other opponent, you're like, good job, girl. Like, it's a much different atmosphere. Yeah. It takes a completely different body type, skill set. Mm-hmm. You've got to be flexible. You've got to kind of, you got to be very conformed as well. Like one of the greatest thing I love about fighting is the you can do so many different things. Like you've got literally Muay Thai is called the sport of 8 limbs. You have 8 different weapons, and more than that, a lot of times that you can use to get the job done. Whereas gymnastics is like you have your skills, you do them over and over and over again to perfect them, and then you go and you show a polished effort, and everyone's like, that's so great. We've got to have these great fake politics and everything, and definitely very different. But it has translated really well into martial arts. I have the flexibility, I have the strength and I think that sets me apart from a lot of the girls,
and probably the work ethic.
Category. Yeah,
the work
definitely.
Ethic. Like Yasmin, I think, is downplaying it. She was a gymnast for Temple University.
Yeah,
this is D1 gymnastics we're talking about. No, we're not talking about like backflips at like kindergarten here. This is like legit gymnastics. So I'm assuming some of that work ethic is also translating well for you.
Work ethic, dedication. Like you were not able to be good at gymnastics if you only did it like occasionally. It's not one of those sports that you can just pick up and be good at. Like you have to work constantly and consistently to be a great athlete in general. And so having done that since the age of 2, like it's been ingrained in my head. I'm going to push to be the best athlete that I can at all points in time. Yeah. And that is a sense of internal motivation that I had to grow, that I got from gymnastics. Yeah. And so, that's the biggest thing. And I've played a little bit of tennis. I was, my whole family plays tennis. I know you played tennis in college. You were a multi-sport athlete yourself.
Yeah, so. I did a little bit, played a little. I don't like to put basketball on my resume, but I did play high school basketball. But definitely played a lot more tennis.
Middle school.
Yeah.
They put me in for defense. I was that big bitch.
Wow, me too. I scored like 6 points in all 4 years of high school basketball. But how many times did I set blocks and picks and rebounds?
The pick. They put me in to set the pick. Like literally.
I also was the bruiser. I definitely had no problems catching a foul while I was setting the pick.
Oh, absolutely not.
I had no problems. A couple of times. I mean, the girl didn't have a ball, so it wasn't a shooting foul. Hey,
no ball, no game.
Girls don't want to come down my lane. So yeah, we've got quite the athletic resume between the two of us, and congratulations again. I'm super excited to watch this new phase in your journey. And I'm counting on my fingers. I'm like, I've always known you've done gymnastics, and I'm like, wow, since 2 years old. I'm counting. I'm like, wait a minute, Yasmin's been an athlete longer than I have.
Oh yeah,
for those of y'all who don't know,
like
I'm the older sister by quite a bit. I have 13 years of martial arts. Yeah. I've been, I played high school sports, so I guess technically I've been an athlete, but I feel like you've had more intense athletic training throughout their structured athleticism since you were 2. I didn't get into structured athletics until I was like 15. So you got a nice head start.
That's one of the things about gymnastics too. It's very structured. Yeah. You've got to stand a certain way. You've got to wear your leotard a certain way. Your hair's got to be pulled up and out of your face. You have to present a certain kind of way. And so, like, moving into a sport where I really feel like I can, like, I'm kind of a little bit mad that it took me this long to find martial arts, and it's been so natural for me to pick up. But gymnastics had a lot to do with that. But I'm finally able to, like, do something that is natural, because gymnastics didn't come natural to me. Like, I wasn't built for gymnastics, really. I just really liked doing it, and so I had to work harder than everybody else to be a good gymnast. And I don't feel like that's the case in Muay Thai. Not that I work hard because I want to, but I don't think that I need to work. I'm working hard to, like, bridge a gap or something. The athletic ability is coming easily to me. Versus some other sports that don't. So or some other people who try to do, like, just an example, Roxanne Modafferi, who just fought her last fight in the UFC. She's a UFC flyweight, been in the division forever. She said herself, she was like, look, I'm not a natural athlete. But I just worked hard and built with what I had. And so being able to use my natural athleticism in a sport has been very fulfilling, and will continue to be as I keep getting better, because I have no plans on stopping anytime soon. So.
As your sister, as a fellow athlete, and as an emerging trainer and coach, I mean, I lick my chops. Like, she's already an athlete. She's been an athlete forever. And sometimes like, Roxanne Modafferi is a good example. I thought of myself immediately. I was like, it took me the first 4 years of jiu-jitsu just to lose, like, I was 200 pounds when I started. So it took me the first couple of years just to get into any kind of, I kind of had to cover that gap. Jiu-jitsu came really naturally to me, but just being in athletic shape, like training, like that was foreign to me. Like, getting up and going to the gym every day was foreign to me before 22 years old.
Yeah.
Like, that was like eating vegetables. Like, that was like foreign to me before 22 years old. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times I'm watching your development, and like, also as an athlete too, like, you've started your martial arts journey on like fire. Like, you're like blazing. You're coming out the gates. Like,
4-0 by
finishing
the way.
girls, 4 finishes. Like, and at first, like, as a trainer, you want to be like, okay, we got to give an athlete that goes like too good, too fast. Sometimes you got to humble them in the gym, or you got to humble them. You don't want them to be humbled when they're like 10-0 and they get their first loss and they're like, their whole world crumbles.
Right.
But honestly, with your gymnastics background, like, you've been through that already. Yeah. Like, you've been through the ups and the downs of competition as well. Yeah.
I've been competing my whole life.
So I'm like, God, yes, I don't even have to teach her how to lose. And now you've been through that, and you're just, man, so super exciting. Bright future ahead for you. Yeah, definitely. Super exciting for both of us. We're doing good things over here. So make sure y'all don't only support the podcast, but definitely follow our athletic careers, because it's super exciting to watch Yasmin as she grows, and it gives me motivation. Every time I come down here, I coach you. I run back to the gym. I train up in Jersey, and I'm like, all right, guys, when's my turn? I'm ready to go next.
It's time to go. Yeah.
Lead from the front. I'm like, I gotta train just as hard as I see my kid sister doing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And that just got me thinking, another thing about gymnastics, and just being an athlete, a female athlete in particular, is like body image. And I know that's something as a fighter that, we deal with weight on a daily basis. Making weight before fights, staying on weight in between camps, checking our weight on a daily basis. But that is one thing I feel that is different than a lot of sports, is that it is an open conversation. Mm-hmm. In a lot of times, like in gymnastics, it was never said aloud. It was always whispered. Mm-hmm. Like, that girl's kind of thick. Mm-hmm. She's built like, it always was kind of expected to be small, be in shape, this, that, and the other, but it was never an open conversation. It was never, how do you get there healthily? It was never that. And so, like, I am transitioning into a sport where weight is still like a very prevalent thing, but it's approached in a much healthier way, I feel like. So it's been easier for me to not feel like I need to be ashamed with the body that I'm in. Like in gymnastics, nice. It was like, there were times where I'm like, I'm the thick black girl on the team, right? And I just remember being in college and like trying on leotards, and I'm like, look, I'm just built differently than these girls. I need an extra large. Like, my shoulders are about 2 inches wider than the rest of these girls. My thighs are big. I'm strong, and I'm still athletic. I'm carrying all this weight just fine. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of always like a little,
little side eyes. Yeah, they don't have leotards your size.
And fighting is different. Everyone's like, shit, everyone's struggling. Everybody making weight.
I was just going to say, all of us have body image issues, and we're open about it. All of us. All of us are overweight. No, we all. No, it is definitely interesting, the fact that weight and body is so prevalent in both sports, but in different ways. Yeah. And it is like at the highest levels of MMA, like MMA fans can be kind of brutal about it, but they are all like, it's less about how fighters look and more about like, did you make the weight or not?
Right. Did you make the weight?
Like, no one cares how you look making the weight.
Yeah.
And even then, like, missing weight in MMA is like, it happens so often. Like, there's always a little like flash in the pan. Everyone gets real excited, and then no one cares. You fight the next day, and everyone's over it. Your pocket might feel it when you're on the pro level. You get your little penalty, but it is interesting. There's definitely a lot. Yeah, in MMA, most people don't care as much what you look like, and
Yeah.
Everyone just cares what weight class you're in. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're coming up in a time in MMA where it's definitely a lot more educated.
Yeah.
Like, when I started, we were still, like, just roughing it out. I would wear plastics to cut weight for, like, a week. I would be sparring in, like, in head-to-toe sweatsuits, like the plasticky. For those of us who are listening, like, laymen, every fighter and athlete and wrestler is cut weight knows exactly what I'm talking about. But for our laymen, they give you these. You ever go to the gym and you see the old guys in the trash bag? Like, those are, that's what I'm talking about. So I would wear those for, like, weeks on end, like sparring, running. I'd wake up and put the thing on.
That sounds unhealthy.
So now, as the older sister, I done run through this game, and I was like, okay, now, especially with the UFC and cutting weight being such a big thing, it's definitely done in a lot healthier way now. Everybody's eating better and rehydrating properly, and so you're also coming along at a good time where we're not cutting like assholes anymore.
Thank God. Jeez,
there's science.
It makes it a little easier for sure.
Yeah, definitely have some science.
And I'll say last thing about like gymnastics, and this can kind of open up the conversation to other sports. I feel like there are like traditionally more sports that are more feminine, and then there are like traditionally sports that are more like gritty, like, you know, you see the gritty girls in
masculine,
there, like, you
tough,
know, more masculine,
gay.
Tough. Like, I don't want to label them gay because there are straight people who do those sports, but you know, when you think of like people always ask me when I was walking around with my team, like, oh, either you run track or you must play basketball.
Oh, you're just never perceived as a gymnast just on your image.
Just based on like the way I was built, or like, you know, maybe it was the way I present myself. Like, nobody ever would guess gymnast.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
And being in a non-traditional, like, well, I wouldn't say it's like not a non-traditional sport, but like one where like as a mask presenting female, you don't see that many mask presenting lesbian women in gymnastics. I don't think you really see any. Yeah. And so I was really like an anomaly for a lot of people. And I don't know. Gymnastics, the thrill. And I think too, that's why fighting really excites me. It's like the thrill and the excitement of like flipping upside down a bunch of times and like, ooh, I'm gonna land on my feet, I'm gonna land on my head, I don't know, like it was both like the good and the bad part about it. But yeah, just like being an athlete and not being like perceived as a gymnast was interesting, and being around people who are like, you know, generally, if you're a woman on a basketball team, you might have at least another like one or two people who identify like with the community. You know what I mean? I feel
on
like
a basketball team?
I feel like there's a women's basketball, softball, certain sports where like
they're all gay.
They're stereotypically gay.
They're stereotypically gay, but I mean the stats are there, the numbers are there. I mean
the statistics.
Like the NCAA basketball tournament is on right now. Like I hate to judge, but there's an awful lot of lesbian looking ladies play basketball. Yeah, those are kind of traditional, stereotypical. I can't even. You can't say traditional. Stereotypically masked lesbian sports. And it is kind of. It's kind of. You know, I didn't get it as much, but people would see me as a masked lesbian and just presumed I played ball. And I'm like, bro, I'm 5 foot. Like,
yeah, I'm horrible at basketball.
4 on a strong day. Like, you know, no. Like, lesbians do other sports as well.
We don't all play basketball. You know, as much as I would like to, you know, say I'm good at basketball just for the clout. Nah, bro, I'm trash at basketball. I'm trash. And it's funny, too, because female fighters, it's so weird. Like, the first time I started watching UFC and just watching fighting in general and, like, being around more fighters, I'm always like, you know, my gaydar, I was like, my gaydar is great. I know when people are gay, like, you know, I generally always know. And then I see these big built butch ass women and they're like fucking married to their coaches. And they're like, there's two types of fighters. There's either like gay fighters or fighters married to their coach. And I'm like, what's going on here? It's funny. And they're all just like big and butch, strong as hell, big, strong as fuck,
strong as hell, like, shortcuts and everything.
Yeah, so, like tattoos, and I'm like, y'all are really throwing my gaydar to a spin right now.
Way off. I'm glad you had that same struggle. I did too. I was like, you know, when I first started doing jiu-jitsu and MMA, I'm like, I'm gonna find me so many stud friends. It's gonna be awesome. There's gonna be so many other lesbians, like, cause I'm like, you have to be. like crazy to want to be a female that does this. I'm like, oh, there's gonna be like lesbians everywhere. No, they're all straight girls married to their coaches for sure. Like I just knew I was gonna find a bro friend like right off the rip. Nah, all straight girls.
Damn.
And I'm like, who are y'all dating?
And I'm
all
like,
straight girls.
and it'd be like
dating
ugly fighter people too. Sorry.
There's one or two. No, I mean, and then also like like this is super stereotypical. Like in MMA and jiu-jitsu especially, like I don't know if this is on topic, but I'm gonna come. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna come for the fans or like the guys that participate in jiu-jitsu and martial arts, because the level of how hot you need to be considered to be hot is all skewed in martial arts. Like you got the most average girls. No offense, but these girls are so average. And if you put on a gi and like a purple belt, dudes are gonna like fall over you. I'm telling you, if there's any straight girls right now, go into the first jiu-jitsu gym you can find or the first Muay Thai gym you can find. Just put on some boxing gloves and your hot meter is you're getting like 4 extra points. For sure. And and I didn't get it at first. Like I would be training in jiu-jitsu and the guys would be like, I'm not gonna name drop, I'm sorry, but they would be like, so and so is so hot. Oh my god, she is so. And I'm looking like, who? Like her? I'm like, she looks like 8 other girls in this room. She's just wearing
our hetero listeners. Look, apparently the guys like the athletic women. Sometimes, I mean, that's a new thing to me, to be honest. That's a new kind of phenomenon, because I feel like when I was growing up, I was teased. I was literally teased for being athletic and stronger than the guys. Like, they would call me a boy because I could outrun the boys. And I would be like, bro, you're just mad because, like, I could arm wrestle you. Like, what's the deal? And
Superman.
Superman. You know, so we have those guys who like maybe are like.
Well, I am referring to MMA martial arts
MMA
fans,
dudes,
and those are MMA dudes are nerds. Like, sorry guys, you are. Like, it's okay. Most of them know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you're either a participant and therefore an athlete, or
there's MMA dudes, and then there's dudes at the gym who will come up to you and be like, no, this is how you hit the bag, bro.
Oh my god. Look, so we have a whole special episode for guys like that. I could we could do a whole season on males at the gym that do niggas stupid shit. Niggas at the gym, like, this is how you should lift, or your form's off, you should punch like this, you should wrestle like that, you should I even look at you? We were just at the gym yesterday trying to cut weight. Grown ass man gonna tell us like, oh, don't cook in there too long.
We were sitting in the sauna.
Don't you have a heart attack?
Yeah, we were sitting in the sauna, and then we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna sit in here for like 30 minutes, and he was like, oh man, no, that's a long time. You don't make sure you're okay. And I'm like, bro, mind your business.
Listen, if there's any straight male listening to this right now, and you're at the gym, do not approach that girl. Leave her alone.
I know you might think you're being helpful, but it's just weird.
Leave her alone.
People are at the gym to find peace, inner peace, get the fucking workout done, and leave. Like, they don't want to talk to you.
Someone, she'd hire a professional, not your ass.
Right? And I stay seeing niggas lifting wrong at the gym too, and stay wanting to correct other people.
Your knees are buckling. Stop.
Right? But he's like, but it's 300 pounds, bro. And I'm like, I don't care if it's 300 pounds if you're literally squatting incorrectly. But whatever.
So side note, leave her alone. Let her finish her workout in peace.
Yeah, but
that's not the time.
Yeah, just being a woman in a sport where, like, the representation is not there was definitely an interesting experience to bring it all full circle. Like,
yeah.
But now being like in fighting where it's so many people who look like one way, it might be the different. It's like, it's kind of almost like relieving. Yeah. It's like, you know, I don't have to fit into a certain box, because there are no boxes in martial arts, really. Like, you can do your own thing. You can be your own person. You can have your own attitude. And I think it's really funny because a lot of my friends would say, like, you found a sport doing something that you always wanted to do. You always wanted to fucking fight people. Like, I'm a bit of a hothead. Look, I've been in arguments with niggas on streets, and they're like, it's funny how you ended up doing exactly what you always wanted to be doing, is throwing hands. Yeah.
I know, hopefully.
It's been fun.
Don't throw too many hands. But this is, martial arts is definitely a sport where you can be yourself. Yeah. Like, you can be, no matter who you are. I've seen all kinds of people in kickboxing, martial arts, jiu-jitsu. I mean, what color hair, tall, short, round, skinny. And man, girl, as a matter of fact, everybody get up, go to their local martial arts gym, get your membership.
Go do a little kickboxing class.
It'll help you out. A little jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. All right.
You'll love it.
I think you like it's eye-opening because it's not only is it an athletic event, like it's like, you know, athletic activity, but also martial arts has a lot to do with like balancing your life and, you know,
the stress relief.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's healthy for your mind, body, and soul. Yeah.
You get to punch things. Y'all getting in trouble for it.
All
Come
day.
on.
Yeah.
Sometimes people. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the lesbian athletes who kind of paved the way for us, you know, regular lesbo folks.
Us regular lesbos.
Yeah. Like some of the first out athletes and some of our favorite out athletes and how being out in the athletic scene has had any effect on us, I guess. But yeah, the first person who I always think about when we talk about like lesbian athletes, which is pretty funny, is like Billie Jean King. Mm-hmm. Like Billie Jean King was like as out as you can be in like 1965.
Was it that long ago?
It was definitely like
she and she
maybe it was the
butch.
late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
You're as out as you could be in a sport like tennis.
Yeah.
And you know, she had the shortcut. She was always walking around with like her hairstylist. Her hairstylists were like mad cool or whatever. And like not only did she like pave the way for women to have equal pay in tennis, but she was also like came out later in her career. Mm-hmm. Not in her career. I think she had already retired when she came out, but like,
yeah, I think so.
You know, now she's kind of like she's not known for being like a homosexual, but like, you know, she's one of the women, one of the out women who've paved the way for women in general. Mm-hmm. To
certainly
be
known for being a feminist in
yes.
tennis. She definitely, and I think she kind of paved the way for like Maria Navratilova. She was definitely the next one in tennis that I feel like was super out. I think she's the only other one I can remember that's kind of a generation fast. Please tell me she's a lesbian. I'm pretty Martina. Oh my god,
Navratilova.
Yeah, I feel like she's the next generation of out lesbian in tennis. She came out after Billie Jean King. Please, Lord, this is gonna be worse than when we thought.
Oh yeah, huh? You're right. Okay, so I always get their names confused. But yeah, now that I look at her face, I had to Google her face. I'm like, yep, that's her.
She's that, right?
Mm-hmm. She was out.
She was out.
And I love that now. And then we've got obviously like I can't think of any like basketball. I didn't follow basketball until like, you know, I was kind of an adult. So
yeah,
I know like now I know like Chrissy Ace. I know it's hard to say.
No, half the WNBA guys.
I know half the. I mean, we would be here all day if we wanted to list every lesbian in the WNBA. Like
we've got good numbers.
We'd be here all day.
I mean, yeah.
I'm quite familiar with like the concept of being like a WNBA wife.
Yeah, no,
like that's a big thing these days.
So I did some research for this, and apparently Cheryl Swoops was the first to be openly gay in the WNBA.
Nice.
But I don't know if that's so. I feel like when I saw that, so another shout out to openly gay is Liz Carmouche is the first openly gay woman to fight in the UFC. And it was funny. I remember being at home.
First.
She was. So I remember being at home when she fought Ronda Rousey for the title, the first women's.
Beat that bitch up. She didn't beat her.
Oh, she took her back, man. Liz Carmouche, you had her back.
Well,
it's all right. Here nor there. Come to jiu-jitsu, everybody. But so I remember they made a thing about it. She had a rainbow mouthpiece and she was out, and I remember it being real cool. And I remember almost doing the same thing at home, but like, I mean, she is technically the first openly gay woman in the UFC, but she's also like the first one. I was like, there's got to be a million of us. So I kind of felt like, but apparently there's not. But I kind of felt like that with Cheryl Swoops, like. You know, she's out. She's the first openly out one, but she probably isn't the first, is what I'm saying.
No.
She's just the first one to, like, say it and do it.
Right, yeah.
So I want to give Liz Carmouche. Liz Carmouche was the first to put the rainbow mouthpiece in. I was like, go ahead, girl. She's been out, you know, but thanks.
And there's definitely some out soccer players on the U.S. team.
A ton. Yeah. Who's the one that's married to Sue Bird?
Is it Megan? No.
Rapinoe, yeah, it might be. Yeah. Yo, we're like really good at our lesbian.
I'm bad at names, but I know the faces. But I think Megan Rapinoe. Yeah. They were swooning over her when she came out, man. There's some more now in soccer.
There's got to be tons.
Yeah.
I just think
I'm still waiting
tons.
on the first, like,
maybe I'm still biased.
Openly gay gymnast. There's some NCAA, definitely. Yeah. But, you know, you don't have the same platform on NCAA. I mean, you kind of do, but it depends on the school you go to. And, like, you know, I know UCLA always does a really big pride meet, pride gymnastics meet with their team.
That's cool.
You see a lot more of those things popping up in NCAA. Yeah, but for women, it's kind of almost been like easier, I would say, than like male sports,
for sure,
because other women don't really care. Like, I haven't really, like, I feel like niggas care a lot more for some reason, even though it's none of their business. Right, like, so all the, like, gay men who came out in football or whatever, they were all, like, ostracized by their team. And not all of them, obviously, but, like, you know, it's proven to be a lot harder for men to come out around other men. Yeah.
And like, as I was doing some research and looking up, a lot of the guys, especially in the early 2010, 2015, they were coming out after they retired. And I can't imagine what a men's locker room would be like. Oh my God, what are you
doing in the locker room?
Oh my God, don't look at me. Side note, I mean, most of our listeners should probably know this, but if you're a guy that's in a locker room and you're worried about a gay teammate, he's not looking at you, probably.
Yeah. And then you're probably also gay. Like, if you're worried about somebody being gay towards you, you might want to, like, look internally, and you might be projecting. So.
Yeah, you might be. Keep listening to the podcast. You might learn some things.
Maybe. You know, maybe you should communicate those feelings to a therapist. Yeah. But anyway.
I actually saw an openly gay male at a WKA, a World Kickboxing Association, which is an amateur kickboxing tournament years ago when I was an amateur.
That's awesome.
And I was preparing to fight it at a amateur MMA fight, and they were doing amateur kickboxing, and he had on pink, and he was effeminate, and he had glitter in his hair, and he was like, y'all can't see me, but he was like effeminate, like flipping his hair and like prancing and like crossing his legs. And then everyone, of course, you know, all the guys was all like getting all uncomfortable, like, oh, it's a fruity boy in here. I'm like, all right, everyone, relax. But his team was super cool. And then, like, he was hitting pads to warm up, and homeboy was cracking. He was like, I was like, that boy about to mess y'all up. So I don't remember how he did. I'm pretty sure he did good. But I remember being like, go ahead, boy. Because that was a long time ago in an environment that he was really brave to be in.
Yeah. And dudes, like, if you want to try some sports and you feel like, y'all, you know, if you're part of the community and, you know, there are people who will support your athletic aspirations, you know, you just got to find the right place around a welcoming environment. And, you know, because I know a lot of people who, you know, wanted to be in sports but were teased for being, you know, effeminate or like outwardly gay and like not accepted by like team sports because their team was like, oh, you know, you go over here and do stuff with the girls, you know what I'm saying? So that could definitely be stopping some people from following their athletic, you know, aspirations and goals. And it shouldn't. You gotta just find and build the folks around you who are gonna you know, support you. And that's in anything in life.
Yeah, anything in life. And also as an athlete, like, I don't care who you go home to. Can we win? Like, if we on a team, I don't care what you do if you can catch this
nice,
ball.
I don't care who the fuck you sleeping with, bro.
I do not care.
On my team, dog.
I do not care.
On my team.
I do not care. If you putting up baskets, points, whatever sport you play, go ahead, do your thing.
Yep.
I ain't even mad at you. Y'all need to open up the locker room.
Our brother was talking about the other day, and this might like transition a little bit into our next topic. He's playing pickup basketball at the court, like at some open court, and he's like, I'm playing with a trans woman, and he was like, man, she was getting points, dog. Like she was getting points, and it wasn't. She was
dropping buckets,
kicking our ass, actually. And I was like, that is the funniest shit I ever heard, dog. Like that is that is hilarious. But yeah, that's kind of a little our qualm of the week, I suppose.
Is it? Well, yeah, I guess it could be our qualm of the week. We also have Olympics on our we have Olympics on our outline for today's episode. No. Yeah, we've got a couple. Yeah, we've got a couple of qualms this week. Yeah, trans in sports is definitely more controversial than being gay in sport. Just when you thought you were over the gay hump, now you have trans in sports, and there's a whole nother pickle for people to digest.
Well, yeah, like
other people, which is the irony in it, because it's really other people.
Talk a little bit about our opinion on people, or like trans people in sports, because yeah, and even way more recently, it's been a huge deal politically. You see some states banning trans people from participating in organized sporting events in schools. You're seeing people get sex tested for like international sporting events and stuff like that. And you know, it's a big deal. Like and I know, Sijara, you have a lot of big opinions on this topic. Let's talk about it. Like,
I'm going to try not to get canceled today.
Yeah, trans people in sports, what is that? Like, first of all, why is it controversial? Let's kind of, for people who may not know.
Well, for laymen, I think one of the reasons that makes it controversial is a lot of people who make the rules in sports aren't the participating athletes themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of people who govern professional sports or collegiate or academic level sports often don't play those sports or never have. So I don't know why they're in such a position to make rules anyway. So, I mean, if I can get long explanation short, I believe that trans people should be able to play. However, at a certain level, it should be in their own league. And I know it really gets people worked up because I'm a lesbian, and I don't think that trans people should be mistreated. Like black trans women are some of the most murdered people in this country. And so this has nothing to do with human rights. I think I think all humans should be treated fairly and not murdered for any reason, you know?
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with human rights and everything to do with competition. And for me, especially as a combat athlete, I'm in a sport where my consciousness is forever on the line. Like the one wrong move and I could wake up with lights and people like, hey kid, what day is it? You know? And so it's just a matter of the physical advantage that some trans people may have in sports, and that's where it's controversial. Yeah. And I think that with trans in sports, there's a thin line that we have to play as people and as Americans, where is the line between being fair to the trans person and fair to everyone else who's competing.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it gets controversial.
Yeah.
And I use examples where Damani is getting his ass whooped at a pickup game. Like, that's not that bad. If my brother is getting slam dunked on by a trans person, good for him. He's playing pickup ball at
at the
LA Fitness.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. Do your thing, bro. But when it comes to professional sports, and I think really especially academic and collegiate sports where the physical advantages can really be drastic, I think that trans people should not be allowed to participate in male and female sports, especially, unfortunately, a male to female, especially.
Yeah. And I think to transgendered people, there's just so much gray within that alone.
Right.
Like, because you have transgendered people who have transitioned and who might be taking hormones, who might have had gender reassignment surgery. And then you have trans people who may not have done that at all or something in between. Yeah. So, you know, like how does that come into play when we're talking about what league that you're supposed to be kind of inserting yourself in when you're doing competitive high level sports?
Right.
Like as a child, okay, if you have a kid who's transgender, I think it's not that big of a deal, especially if it's pre-pubescent that they play. Yeah, I think pre-puberty, all kids,
all y'all
should be together.
Yeah,
everyone should play together because you don't have any physical advantages. You're all 6.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
At 6, any one of y'all could be taller than the other one. You see girls bigger than boys and boys bigger than girls, and I think prepubescent, I'm not really tripping. But I think once we get, especially like
once we get to high school,
college, because now people's lives are on the line. Yeah. Like there are some kids out here who have been, and not to say that the trans person isn't, but there are some people out here whose lives could be drastically affected by the result of competing against someone who may have an unfair advantage. And the argument I get a lot from other people in the community and for other people who are for trans participating in sports is, they work just as hard too, or living, what about their feelings and their results? And it's just, is it, one things that jumped out at me, cause I get DMs all the time. Would you fight a trans person? I get this question quite a bit. And when I say no, people are so surprised, but it's just like, well, like, like it's, I wouldn't want to fight a woman on steroids, and I wouldn't want to fight a person who transitions into being a woman either. I think both of those are advantages to me. Yeah.
And I think it also depends on the sport. Like, it depends on the sport. So obviously, as a fighter, you've got a little bit more to risk, right? But then there's like, there's other sports where I feel like it wouldn't really be that big of an issue. Like, we have an instance where a young woman, this is not a trans person, but this is just a woman who kicked for the men's football team, was like the field goal kicker or something like that. Like, when there's sports where there's so many different positions, you play things like, I don't see how with team sports it's kind of different, because like, are the advantages big enough for it to be significant, where it's like, is that another, and two, we talked a little bit about this before, like, there's a big difference between a male transition to female and then a female transition to male.
Yeah.
Because
major.
Yeah, because a female transitioning to male, then going into an all male like sport or league, they might be at a disadvantage.
They might be undersized.
They might be smaller, like, just built depending on.
And it could be dangerous, because that's a toxic environment for anyone transitioning in any direction. But especially, I would think female to male. I'm guessing that's physically dangerous, because there's gonna be some toxic dude out there that's gonna wanna be like, "You one of us now? We know those guys." But
then you have the male to female transition, where it's just like, realistically, you have had higher levels of testosterone within your body for who knows how long, right?
Right.
And you might be on estrogen, you might be taking hormonal balancers or whatever it is, but you still, for however many years that you were that assigned gender, like, you kind of, as and it's not their fault or anything. We're not sitting here like pointing fingers and blaming. There's just not enough. There's not enough clear scientific research or enough to really know what's dangerous for all athletes in participation, not just the trans athletes, because you have to think about the not trans athletes, who are also competing in the same thing.
And I think with that, especially because there's so much unknown, I think it's especially, it kind of makes me feel like especially that they should not participate. Which, I mean, I know. I'm pretty sure I can feel people cringing. I feel myself cringe when I say it out loud, but I just feel like it's just not fair to the vast majority of other people. I feel like people make such a big stink when a woman's on steroids. Like, if you find a woman on steroids, or man, anyone on steroids at the Olympics, every Olympics, there's a steroid story. Every Olympics. People are like, take their medals. Well, this year, we have some more Olympics to talk about. Everyone, if you've been under a rock, we know which steroid story is this year, but we'll get to that one in a second. But, like, people lose their minds. Like, this person is on steroids. They are cheating. How many times have you seen, I mean, not Michael Phelps, the guy on the bike. They took all his Tour de France's. The home run guy. They took all his home run records. You know, and so to me, that's a form of cheating. I'm not saying that transgender people are cheating, but you are, in many cases, not all, in many cases, putting yourself at a physical advantage. And, like, doing my research, you know, like, some of them are just, you know, there was a swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania who was swimming as a male athlete for the first 3 years of, at the time, his swimming career. This person transitioned into female, started taking hormones. The NCAA said you got to take at least a year on hormones before you can compete as a female. This person took the year doing hormones, came back to compete as a female.
Smoked them.
Smoking girls. Smoking girls. Breaking record after record after record. So this person went from a mediocre...
That's kind of crazy.
This person went from a mediocre, average male swimmer to now breaking record after record after record as a female. And all I'm thinking is, who's the girl in second place?
Yeah.
The girl in second place who's like, look,
yeah, and they had already competed 3 years as a different gender, and now you're on the hormones and everything, but I don't know. They should have handled that differently. I think.
The athlete was like, well, what? Should I not swim because I wanted to become who I am? I'm like, no.
It's
yes, ma'am. You can't swim now.
It's too much of a gray area. And I think the most immediate answer would be just a trans league. But you don't have enough trans people in sports right now to have trans leagues for a lot of sports.
But that's how they start.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, right?
There wasn't enough girls for the girls basketball team in 1950, and now we have Title IX.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough girls doing MMA for years, and now we have 4 divisions in the UFC. Like, and I think it's getting over the fairness, and people really get worked up when I say this, but as an athlete, as a professional athlete, and as a collegiate athlete, I'm pretty sure Yasmin knows, there are some people out here who will do anything to win. Yeah. There are some people out here who do anything to win, and I'm
thinking about that swimmer too. Like, if they, honestly, I say this and I believe it wholeheartedly. If that was a black man transitioning to a woman,
my God,
I don't think that would.
They would boycott before they let that.
There's no way
swim.
that would be a thing, and that kind of transitions into the Olympic story of the doping. We had so the Winter Olympics is happening right now, and you have this young Russian girl, Kamila Valevi.
Oh Lord,
Valieva or something.
I had it written down,
and she tested positive for an illegal performance enhancing substance before the 2022 Winter Olympics, and was still cleared to compete in the Olympics with some, caveats, but she was still able to compete. And then we have our young woman from the Summer Olympics, Sha'Carri Richardson, who tested positive for marijuana, which is not a performance enhancing drug, months before the Olympics was even happening, and she couldn't compete in her event.
She was not allowed to compete.
She was not allowed to compete. What is going on here?
So one of the Olympic officials came out, made a statement about it.
Okay.
And said something which was a total fucking cop-out, and don't quote me directly because I don't have it in front of me, but it was something along the lines that Sha'Carri's test came in before the race started, before the games started, so they had time to pull her. But this particular ice skater girl the results hadn't come in until after she had already started the competition, so they allowed her to finish. Sounded like pure cop-out to me.
Come on.
And the other thing that's, I think, is also a major cop-out is the caveat that they gave the Russian girl is that if she medaled, they wouldn't do a medal ceremony.
Right.
Again.
But what about the other people on the podium? People just don't be thinking. It just don't make no sense to me.
Like, so now the whole thing, and spoiler alert, and also if you're listening to this, we're about, like, you know, it's not, this isn't live, so our dates might be a little off. But as of the recording, that girl got 4th place. Oh. So the universe sprinkled a little justice in there. I feel bad for the girl. She's 15, you know? Yeah. But they made all that stink about her and about the medal ceremony and how if she won, they would not give her a medal ceremony. She ended up having a terrible performance after the controversy. Yeah. Fell all the way to 4th place. 2 of her teammates medaled. No one even talks about them. No one even knows now. We made all this funk about the Russian girl, and now her whole competition has come and gone, and we have 3 Olympic medalists in ice skating, and no one knows because we're still talking about this 15-year-old girl. But I think it was very unfair and quite racist that this girl was allowed to skate, and Shikari, who came out and said it, was like, I smoke a little weed, and this girl has like this heart was medication.
Heart medication. It was like, and everyone knows weed is not a performance enhancing drug by any means.
Any means.
And in a lot of sports, I mean, I guess it's Olympic, it's international, the rules are different, but you know, there's a lot of different rules when it comes to doping and what drugs are legal and what drugs are not in different areas where you compete. So yeah, it's just like, were either of them right? No. I mean, you fail the drug test, but the rules are always, the finish line is always seeming to be moved for people who look like us. And that's just the reality of it. Like, we talk a lot about being women and being gay, but like the reality is being a Black person in athletics is a huge, like, you know, is a huge deal. Like, in whatever sport that you're in, you know, you're either expected as a Black person to be super dummy athletic and great at everything you do because you're Black.
Oh, for sure.
Or, you know, and in fighting and being a Black woman, fighting other women of other ethnicity, you know, we're even outside of sports, Black women are already labeled aggressive.
Serena Williams.
And they're always like, even that whole in the U.S. Open when she got nearly disqualified over a horrible umpire call.
Oh, yeah.
And they drew a whole comic about her, like, being a gorilla and throwing a temper tantrum on the court where men and white men all the time in tennis are breaking their rackets, acting a damn fool.
Oh, my God.
But
the
Black
one dude
women's
almost sniped the umpire. He sniped that lady.
Yeah, and I mean, he did get disqualified. That was Djokovic.
And they kicked him out of Australia.
Yeah, he did. He's wild. But like, just being a Black woman in sports, you're always automatically gonna face some sort of like turmoil, some sort of dramatic
1,000%.
story, something. And so, you know, it's important for us Black women to stick together and make our tribes within sports and kind of support one another and
always root for the Black girl.
Always.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for everyone Black.
Everyone Black. Everybody Black.
Is that on that?
Yeah. Everybody Black. Everybody, especially everybody Black and female.
Yeah.
And Black and lesbian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never really met an uncool Black lesbian for real, for being honest. Like you know.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think now. Went through my Rolodex.
I think. Yeah.
Trying to think. I mean, aside from like random other studs that ice girl you in the street.
Oh yeah. There's always one of those.
But once you get to talking,
you're pretty cool.
Yeah, you're pretty cool.
Yeah.
That'd be the stud that can't fight either. So free Shikari Richardson. And she's another one. These controversies are messed up.
She's gay too.
She is.
I mean, she's part of the community.
She is. Shikari is part of the community. 2024, Riri.
Yeah, get her done.
2024. So, what else do we have?
No, I think that's it. That's our episode on sports. Yeah, we touched on a lot of different stuff. Talk about being a female, a black female in sports, non-traditionally or not non-stereotypical lesbian sports and stereotypical lesbian sports, and trans people in sports, and that's an ongoing conversation because as you know, as the science and the stuff comes back, statistics and whatnot about trans people in sports participating, we'll never know. I mean, realistically, what's happening right now is they're trying to push trans people out of being able to participate in sports, and that's saddening. But also, on the other hand, there are athletes like us who would not like to fight.
We're not going to fight
A trans person just because I feel like it would hurt.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like it yeah. I think we are a long way away from having a trans league. We'll see what happens. And again, like, before anyone sends me death threats or hate mail, it's nothing to do with human rights. If you're a trans person who is living your life in any other way, shape, or form, I am not minding your business.
Do you?
Just
boo,
don't sign up.
Don't try to punch me in the face though, because yikes.
Because I will not sign the waiver.
Yeah.
It will be assault.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it.
All right, thanks for listening, folks. Tune in 2 weeks for our next episode. We're rolling now on episode.
Yeah, we're rolling.
Episode 6 in a couple weeks.
Look, guys, we ask for it every episode, and I'm gonna keep pestering y'all to death. Like, follow, subscribe, and please send us questions. If you're listening on Spotify, scroll up just a little bit, and we have a little poll and questionnaire at the bottom. Let us know your qualm of the week, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yep. Peace out.
Peace.
Falling down the well like the hole. Motion, it flow like ocean, baby.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsors. We've got Hot Heat Sneakers. They've got the best J's, Yeezys, Off-Whites, all the hot deals and all the hot kicks. Follow them at Hot Heat Sneakers at Instagram and hotheatsneakers.com.
Our music is brought to you by Chibaguzo, a Maryland local alternative and R&B band. You can like and follow them at Chibaguzo on Instagram. That's at CHIBUGUZO301. And like, share, subscribe, and as always, see you next time.
I feel 100 piece. I'm searching deep for inner peace. Yeah. I think I found my inner peace. Yeah. I'm working on it patiently. One D-A-Y-E. I think I forgot what I wanna say. Ooh, it's T-S-I-L-E, baby, please. Baby, I see you wearing olive green. My hair is not burgundy. That's as a baby, I got the lavender in me. Remember when Jordan had green? We growing up to better things. Every year it's better things. Send a bucket to the family. Falling down the well like the hole. Yeah, let me rap, but I've been ordering books lately. I've been lost lately. Yeah. And I mean, I don't even wanna play, baby. I mean, I'm trying to go up the stairs and lay lately. Yeah. In a finna bender. I surrender, mister. I said, wish the kisser. Yeah. I might catch a with ya. I might break the picture. I might break the frame. I got new bag, handbags, and a walking fan clap. I mean, yeah, I wanna see your damn nap. I said, wait, I'm coming back into the lap. Yeah, one more for like the victory. Thank you for ain't missing me. Yeah, I wanna make sure that I'm coming home and kissing me. Greatest thing I ever seen. Yeah, I got them fucking keys. I'm high, put this shit on my life. Say tie, love that nigga with life. You know I done seen them like with my eyes. Like every day, yeah, we grow like plants from the crown to seed. Like roots that bad down, they see me. Yeah, like, whoop, yeah, they proud to see me. Yeah, I got that Gemini fly as a motherfucking Peter Pan. Going to the Superland, higher than a motherfucking flying pan. Got the oil popping up. Right onto my stuff, right into my skin, man. Burning like a wind, man. Man, I hope I win, man.
Yeah, I hope I win it. Yeah, I'm just, I'm grinding just to get it. Yeah, I got a light strip and I light it. Yeah, and I might hit, might type it. Might just cackle, might Tyson. I mean, I don't like chick like Tyson. I just wanna get right with.
Off the shelf, dusting off, put it in the well. Hey, Jonah Vark, hey, on a charge, blowing stars. Ooh, on my fucking car. Ooh, need a new. Ooh, got it that day. That's gonna be the truth. Hey, you know it's that way. Yeah, we need to prove. Need to see, ooh, how it spray, ooh, say how you say, ooh, tell me how you say it's so good, made me wanna stay, or made me wanna leave you, made me wanna believe you, made me wanna reject you, now I got the next you, how I feel about it, I don't know inside it, man, it's fucking childish, I don't know how to talk, it's not a fucking topic, I don't wanna discuss, man, this shit is disgusting, I get on the cusp of brilliance and I let it go, this time I just caught it though, like a fucking firefly, I don't be in Delaware, I be smoking my own mind, I be feeling high, I don't need nobody to